Skepsis D, how you doing? More live game dev, yes. Today we're doing the save load features. We might make some more art in Aseprite. We're going to do a game over screen soon. I need to do an intro, but that'll be after game over. The save and load is going to be like paramount. I need a good save and load. It's an RPG, it's an action RPG. You need to be able to, I can't expect the player to go through from start to finish and do everything, you know, so the player has to be able to save. So I watched a tutorial this morning on how to do it, and using a JSON file seems to be the best way out of the other methods that I've seen. So I'm going to be doing that. Obviously the tutorial doesn't show me how to make my game completely save. It shows you how to make a simple game with one object in it save. So I have to kind of rig it a little bit. Actually, it's not even any different. I just change a couple of things where I'm adding a bunch of DS map adds. So essentially, with the save state, we're going to be able to press, whenever I allow the player to run the save code, it'll save it to a JSON file, and then same thing when you start the game or whatever, you can load that JSON file. But what you have to do is store all of the data, and there's a lot of data to be stored, and each of that has to happen one thing at a time. So basically I'm going to create a list and a DS list and a DS map, so a couple of data structures. We're going to load it as a DS map, and then the map consists of several lists, and inside those lists are DS maps, which can have lists inside them, but I don't think it needs to get that complex. It just depends on what's inside. Obviously, like if we save an array as a variable, it's got to be saved as the object, and then in a list of objects, and then the variable is its own list of numbers, right, as an array. So it can get as complex as we need it to be, and we're basically going to be using a couple of scripts where you're going to be using save string to file right here, and we're going to write all of this data into a buffer, and then we're going to load JSON file from a file, and that's going to use that use a buffer or create a buffer from a file name and load it. So from the start, we have to take all the data, all the variables, store that into a JSON file, store that into a buffer, and then save that into a string, write a buffer, and then make that save as a JSON file on the computer. And then we do the opposite. We take that JSON file and we put all that information into a buffer, and we read the buffer, remove the buffer, and all of that is sent to give the objects new data. So it's loaded with where it was left off. All of the data is there. So what I actually have to do is go through each object, as far as my understanding is, I need to go through each object and make and add each of its variables as an entry, as a DS map add. So we're adding each of the variable as a map instead of a DS list that's loaded as a DS map has a lot of DS lists in it. Does that make any sense? Like, it makes perfect sense. It's just like, it sounds complicated, but it's simple. Alright, so anyway, all of that is great and all, but what does it consist of doing? Typing a lot, basically. We're going to utilize copy-paste, but it's still finding every variable in your game, trying to organize it in a manner that if you have an issue, you can see where it's at, and then load it back into the game. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be a lot of looking at text. I hope it's interesting to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I probably won't do the whole thing on the stream. I'll do something else. But let's start off with where the game left off. I don't want to start with text and do text all the time. Let's just play the game, see where it's at. We have an intro. There's our intro. Not really an intro. We have a title screen. We have a working user interface. We have collision, hit detection. We have text pop-ups for damage. If we get hit, we take damage. Certain enemies have AI, and they both have slightly different AI, but they're both parents of the same enemy object. So they have like a starting area, and starting AI, and then I can iterate on their differences inside each of those objects. This one shoots a bolt. If we get hit, we take poison damage. We have different element types. You see how we hit by a -10 green. So if he hits us physically, we take the white text, which is physical damage, basic damage, and then the green is going to be poison damage. And there's only 5 elements. There's physical, fire, ice, lightning, and poison. And I could add more, but I don't want to because I want to keep it as basic as possible. We have 4 basic stats: attack power, defense, magic attack, and magic defense, as well as experience, hit points, and mana points, and action points. So with the action points, I'm going to have the special attacks, and action points will, I guess we'll have to somehow make a regenerating system for the action points. I don't know how I'm going to handle it yet, but we'll figure it out. I'm really happy with the day I spent in, I use Aseprite every day, pretty much now, but the day that I spent mostly in Aseprite, looking at other sprites and trying to make my own sprites, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Of course, the hitbox, I had to make it a little bit bigger than the way it looked in game, so it's like I'll hit the enemy. Let me just press F5 and restart. I'll hit the enemy with I'll swing my sword and the enemy will get hit even if they don't touch the sword. And I had to do that because otherwise it felt like we're getting too close to the enemies to deal damage, and the player ended up getting hit a lot, and it didn't feel fun. So I'm like, well, what if I just add another hitbox and then make an animation at the end of the sword, and then so it just still looks good, at least good enough to what I'm thinking for this simple game. See, we did get hit there, and we're getting hit by the ranged attacks. And we're not doing a lot of damage without equipping our weapon. Our basic attack is doing 1-1-1. If we put our sword on, then it changes our parameters so that we don't have a game over screen. We don't actually die. You see our health is about to be gone. I'll die. Boom. We have now, well, not yet. Boom. We should have died at that point, but instead our health is going negative. We don't have a game over screen. We don't have a death yet. So that's what we're going to try to be doing today. But I really want to get the save load function into the game. So I want to show you the hitboxes real quick. If I load the hitbox inside the draw, and I just show you the draw self, let's load these up. And I set it up like this so that I can show it quickly. I don't have to type it at all, just go like that. So now you'll see the hitboxes being drawn. You can see where the hitboxes are. And I made it really cool how I set it up. I think it was cool. And I was like, oh yeah, then it's going to be precise. But in order for it to work as precise, where it looks at every pixel, both the hitbox that you're creating, and both of the things that are colliding have to be set to precise per pixel. And that might cause the game to be slow or unoptimized if I make everything precise. And there's no point in making one of these things precise unless you code it a different way, a better way, and have all the enemies not precise. So these are both set to basic box rectangle. So what that means is where the white boxes are is not exactly where the enemy is going to be hit. It's going to be hit at that point, but in addition to so it's actually like a big box, like this entire square would be hit from where my mouse is, because it's a whole rectangle. And the same with this. It will be like this entire box. And to the right, it would be more like this box. So this works in the player's favor because it gives the player a larger hit box. So if you see that this white box will be able to hit the enemy slightly before it reaches it, and you can see the enemy will get knocked back. I had a bug with a knockback code too, and it would knock me through the wall. You'll see up here. I fixed it though, so if the player tries to hit me, I get knocked back, but I don't get knocked through the wall. So I fixed the knockback bug, and I'm really happy about that. And so now you can kind of see how the collision is being handled. It's not being handled by the player hitting the enemy now, which is good, because otherwise, when it was set up the other way, the player would have essentially invulnerability frames. So now the hitbox is being determined by the white box that I'm drawing on top. And if the player at any point gets hit, even while they're swinging, they will still take damage. So you don't get invulnerability frames when you swing, which what I didn't want. I could make it that way if I want to make a move that will give you invulnerability frames. But for the basic attack, I didn't want the player to be invulnerable as long as they're swinging. So I changed the way it works. So I've watched a lot of tutorials, and I typically take the tutorial in its entirety, and then for most of the time, I will organically find reasons why I don't want that, and then I end up changing it and try to salvage what I can from the entire system. And so same thing with my tile set collision. It's a mishmash of GM Wolf's tutorials, some Sean Spalding ideas, and help files ideas. With the collision box, I got it from Sean Spalding, and then I changed it. I forgot where I saw it, but I've seen it before. Somebody used an object. I'm sure it's been used by a lot of people. So this isn't actually Sean Spalding's system, because he's using the character's animation, which actually gives invulnerability frames. But it originated from that. So I watch a lot of tutorials, and I take code from those tutorials to put it in my game. Even if I don't understand how it works, I'll put it in the game, and then eventually, after using it and manipulating it, I learn how it works by using it. Let me show you some other stuff in the game real quick. I put some codes to show some other items, so let me just put those items in the game. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get the sword. Let's see, insert, insert an A for accessories. Oh my gosh. So now I have my broadsword. I also have the long sword, but I have to take up the broadsword to put it on. Then I have some armor, and then I have something that's dealing 5 extra poison damage. That's not even calculated yet, though. So I have to add this into the functionality. You see, this isn't adding any poison damage like it should. So I'm gonna make sure that is adding it as it should. In fact, let me just try to do that real quick. I'm going to hide the white boxes now that you see how the collision is set up. I'm just going to hide those because we don't need to see that. Hello, Cool Sora, Skeptis D, He-Maze Kitten. Coding is cool with you. You like seeing the game dev aspects. Cool. Very few tutorials will be exactly what you need. That's true. But it is good to see a lot of ways to do things so you can make your own out of the info. Exactly. I really highly recommend you watch tutorials. Take what you can from it, and even if you don't understand how it works, just copy the code, and then when it doesn't work for whatever reason in your game, change something here, change something there, change something there, and eventually you might use a piece of that tutorial to make your game. What was I doing? I wanted to update the damage formula. So I think I'm handling the damage formula in the menu. So let me go to... We're going to be changing added poison damage, or adding added poison damage variable to the damage formula. So here's our attack damage formula, and it's... Oh, I've already got added physical, added fire, added ice, added lightning, added poison to it. Okay, that's good. On the step, is that updating though? It is. It's adding poison damage. Added damage formula. Okay, so that's actually being there. Maybe it did change it and I didn't notice. So let's look at the enemy object, because I'm handling when the enemy gets damaged here. So the enemy final damage, attack, let me use attack damage formula minus enemy's defense. Oh, we're subtracting the defense. That makes sense. So I am adding it. Okay. Let me double check again. Let me play it and see if I can notice a difference. Let me, instead of putting my sword on, because then we'll notice it more if I just go like this, take this accessory. Now we can see when I hit this guy, it's doing 1 and 2 damage. With this, 5 poison damage make it does. Look, 1 and 2 damage is now doing 6 and 7. Boom, boom. See, these guys have such a high defense that it's still doing 1, but on these guys who have a less defense, it's actually doing more than 1. I wasn't noticing because defense is coming into play. Let's put our sword on. Boom, boom, boom. 9, 12, 12. Let's take this off. 7, 7. Yep. It does work. It is working right. Okay, good. So I already dealt with that. Nice. Have I played Zelda Long's Mistakening? I don't think so. Is that a fan game? Okay. This is the enemy. Anyway, the save, let me show you how I'm doing the save file. Watch Sean Spaulding's tutorial if you want to see how to do it. He's got like a 6-minute tutorial and he goes over it and he cites good sources and he'll tell you how to do all this and why it works best to do this. What I'm basically doing is what you see there. I've created an object, pSaveMe, which is a parent object, and then I made all of my objects a child of that parent object. And except for the enemies, which are a parent of the object enemy, which these still inherit from the save me because the enemy is a child of the save me parent. So these guys will inherit from these guys through the hierarchy. So it's really cool how GMS2 has this system set up. It saves a lot of coding and time and just makes things like really possible. It's cool. So yeah, I'm gonna go through and continue where I left off. I started with like some general basic ones that you would see and I'll add more to it. So here we are adding things to be saved. Basic variables. And underneath that I'm commenting like where these variables originate from, and one object or multiple objects can have the same variable name, and that's okay. It'll take that and put it, and it won't. You don't have to worry about it overwriting the variable name or anything. Multiple objects can have the same variable name because they'll be in their own list. They'll be in their own DS map. So it'll still be fine. You really only need to write it once. Like if you have 5 objects and they all have like enemy HP, all you have to do is save enemy HP and it'll save all of those and then restore all of those. So a good naming convention will save you some work here. I, of course, wanted to save my particle system. I don't know why. I don't think I actually need to save all of the things in my particle system. No, I do actually. Because if it tries to load them fresh after loading a game, and the object hasn't been loaded there on the map, it could be a problem. I'm not sure what other problems I'm going to encounter with the save and load, and there might be some big errors that I don't know how to deal with yet, but I'm taking it one step at a time, and I'm going to save everything into a JSON and try to load everything out of a JSON and see how that works. So right now I'm on the object menu and I'm going down the oh my gosh, let's see, it was blank for a second and that made me think that there was nothing there, and then I was about to delete the create, and there was another event where I just recently deleted the create event. Was it just temporarily blank and then I deleted the create event that actually needed stuff? That's like a GMS2 load delay or something. What was it? It was on the draw text. Am I using anything on the draw text that would need, obviously it's not causing a problem. I gotta be careful when I delete events, because if it looks blank, I'm like, why did I have a blank event here? I may have had something on here, but whatever I did have, if anything, didn't seem to be a problem. I don't think I actually had anything, but that did give me a little scare. There's a little load delay. Huh. I'm going to be very careful deleting events like that again from now on. Alright. By the way, I'm listening to some Nintendo's 8-bit music, SNES, or NES and SNES 8 and 16-bit music, soundtrack, whatever you want to call it. In the Discord, links in the description, there is a Theme 6 music tab where a bunch of lists to different stuff you can listen to is there. And listen to whatever you want to listen to. It looks like this one must have got claimed or something, because the music got muted pretty much right off the bat. Or did I mute it? What happened? That's really weird. Did I turn the volume down? Oh, somehow I turned the volume down. Made me think about the music, that's why I mentioned it. Whatever. Alright, here go back to the database entry. Let's load. We're on the object menu now. So we've done draw text, we've done the particle system, which this was a big one. The menu is also a big one. So not only do I have to insert all of these into the DS map add, but on the load I have to load them here as well. So what I believe is happening is it's running a for loop here for the size of the list, and it's recreating all of these things based on the data that was there when it was saved. And these are accessors so that we don't have to type dslist find value, because we're going to have to do this a bunch of times. Of course, it would be copy-paste, so it wouldn't really matter too much. But at this point, we're going to be pasting, changing this, pasting, changing this for all the things. The same way that we're pasting ds map add for underscore map, and then changing this. Once again, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, let me know, and I'll do my best to make this more engaging. I hope you guys are having a good day. We are on this one. I think right here I could just store damage type because it'll still have 0 to 4 with the 5 entries. So damage type on its own is already set up. I was just defining an array and then setting the index of those arrays to certain values. So I don't actually have to type damage type 0, damage type 1. I think it would just store that. I believe it would anyway. We don't actually use this at any point yet, but for later on I want to be able to reference a damage type as a number. So oh gosh, what did I press? Forgot one. Player. Oh, I don't say player previous max MP, I just say previous. Okay. It should be player previous. It's being lazy there. I don't want to go through and change variable names at this point. I'm going to stick to it until I need to. And it's not a capital, actually. Okay. I'm glad that they updated the engine to give you warnings when a variable is used only once. That helps you catch your typos right then and there. Saves a ton of time in the long run. Especially when you're doing huge database entry like this. I probably should have also made this player added physical damage, but being lazy. Some of these variable names are massive. Player reduced physical damage taken. It's a lot of characters for a variable name. But it's very descriptive too, and it... Wait, did I miss something? Wait, I skipped stuff. Added physical, added fire, added ice damage. Oops. The thing about the save system too is, like, once you set it up, you're not really done with it until you're done working on the game. Because if you rename a variable, you also have to rename it in the save system. And if you add a new variable, you have to throw that into the save system so it knows to save it. finished that object. Next object. This one's easy though, OData. So this one is current room. And that's it for that object. Nice. I think the longest one was the particle system or the menu. Probably the menu, because it's where a lot of it's being calculated. Keybind has no create, so it doesn't need anything. Save load system doesn't have a create. It's actually this object. This is just a parent to link everything together. The player has some stuff. So we're going to move on to the player. Do we need to store? We can't store the variables. No, wait. Tile ID will have been identified as collision layer 16 when it's saved into the JSON. Okay. So we just save tile ID. We don't have to save the enum because they're defined as if the game is like being loaded. Key attack. How come, wait, where's key attack? Are we defining key attack? No, key attack is not being defined here. Where is key attack? Hit by attack. Key attack should be defined here in this create. Hold on. How is it working? I mean, I suppose it's just a true or false. So this also means I need to check step events for any variables that aren't created, saved on the, initialized on the create event. I mean, it won't matter if it remembers if key attack is saved or not. I mean, it's going to default to false, so it won't swing when the game loads. And then, even if it did, the game would load and the player would swing, and like that's all it would do. But it's kind of, I thought that it would crash if it wasn't created on the create step. It doesn't though. It works here. Okay, I guess a fail-safe in the engine, which works fine. Yeah, I'm not gonna save. Well, why not? Doesn't make any difference really. And that's the whole object for player. So we can go here. What's the next object? The broadsword, which I don't even use this. This is going to go in defunct probably. Oh wait, no, this is not defunct. This is the item. This isn't the animation of this. This is the actual item. I do need this. Oh my gosh. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Back. Thank you for your patience. What are you guys working on today? Oh, this is good. The only variable I'm using on items is show description, and I only have to grab it once. So even if I had, say, 80 items, I wouldn't have to put that, save or load that. So this is going to save all of the items descriptions, this line. That's great. So that's done then. I don't need this at all. Wait, why did it? All items only use show. Alright, so let's move on to the enemy. This will have a few, you know. And that's pretty much it with that one. Skepsis says, seeing this is making me think I should design my save system first so I know the other systems can all work with it. Working on art for a skill tree, cool. Writing down ideas and sketching. Cool, man. I may have already asked you, but what engine and game you're trying to make, Skepsis? Hey, Peter Apple, how are you doing? This is actually going to go into some basic stuff. Let's get rid of this. Take this. Up at the top. We're going to save in some more information like image sprite index. Top-down space RPG? Cool. Hey, Jeremiah Black, how are you doing? What other basic variables need to be stored? Anything I would manipulate, like x, y, x scale, y scale, alpha, index of the sprite and the image, speed, direction, oh I already got direction, blend mode, layer, image angle, yep, let's put in angle, image angel. Image speed. Let's do image speed. What other image keywords we got here? Angle, index number, speed, scale. What about sprite keywords? Sprite height, sprite width. I mean, we're saving it into a JSON, like, probably don't need all of these things, but if we have stored them at any point, it will recapture all of them and save that data. It will make the save file larger, but it should still be kind of small, actually. Just a bunch of text. Let's do one for each of those. Let's go like this. Wait, don't I have sprite index? I do have sprite index. Twice. Let's just delete that. That's not useful. There we go. Think of any other built-in variables. Because it will save for each object differently. So that means we don't have to type anything for any of these. Speed, direction is saved and all that. Player damage, anything here? Nope, all that's just going to be saved. And that's it. So that's all of our save, our DSMap add save. So we've got from our basic variables to what I've got in particle system. Some I've commented out because they're commented out in the particle system. But if I uncomment, I can just come back and uncomment. I thought it would be a good idea just to include them. This is what's in the menu. The menu is the largest. Then we had some in data, some in player, and then this for all items, and this is for all the enemies. I'll add more to all of these things probably. Like enemies this list is gonna get longer. The player might get longer. Data will certainly get longer as I add skills and whatnot. And then menu is just like bound to add more stuff. Particle system going to add more stuff. So this is what I have now for saving. So it should save to a JSON. And we can call it whatever we want. But when we load, we also have to put all of this, we have to load all of this stuff back. So everything we did right here, this is only half of it. The other half is on the load. Yep. So what do I have? X, Y, blend, index speed. With the object and all of these things. Hey, Werewolf CZ. What are you guys up to today? I love Mega Man soundtracks. This is so good. Link in the description for the Discord. There's a channel there called Theme 6 Music, and I've got a bunch of playlists posted. Also, you can just search on YouTube for playlists. Enjoying some 8-bit music right now. I was listening to T create a bunch of beatbox creations over the past few days. Kind of put me in the mood to listen to some NES classics. CTR had a new update today. I love beatbox, it's so good. CTR. I mean, that's familiar. What is CTR? Okay, XY, blend index speed, XY. I mean, let's just start right here on alpha. I kind of want to have these half and half. Isn't there a way to view half and half? How do you have two tabs open on one? Let me save this. Crash Team Racing. In GMS2, how do you view multiple events in one tab? Wait, that wasn't the right. No. Come on, this is a simple fix. It's like you press Control on it or Alt on it or something, and then you can view half of your save code, half of your load code. Someone's got to know how to do that. How do you do that? I believe I did know how to do this at one point. I just didn't find a reason to need to know how, and then I forget. This is not it. Let's try something. How do you view, not multiple events, multiple, they're events, multiple events, gosh, Google, don't make me ask Bing. Don't you dare make me ask Bing. How do you view multiple event tabs in one at the same time in GMS2? Nope, I have to put GMS2 earlier. GMS2, view multiple event tabs. I don't think it's saying that you can't, but I've seen it. People, it is possible. I'm not trying to do code folding. That's what it keeps getting like, oh, this is impossible, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking about viewing half and half. It's a simple thing. Somebody knows how to do it. Can you drag it off the workspace? Let's try that. This isn't, I mean, that does work, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get it so that, like, it's half and half. There's like, I've seen somebody do it. I forgot who, but I've seen somebody take this and, like, try Alt, double click. Try Alt, double clicking here. Control, double clicking. Like, there's a little slider. Like, it's all in this window, and there's like 50 here, 50%, and you can slide it back and forth what you want to see. Close all but this? No. Nope. Nope. Huh. Whatever. Let's do that. Let's drag it off. Because it creates this buffer, and it like resize. Gosh, it's frustrating. Godot's so much cleaner. Dang it. I love GMS2, but like the layout is stupid. This is stupid. Why doesn't it let me? Whatever, let's resize it. Don't worry about it, it's cool. I mean, it's got like this invisible space that I don't think needs to be there, like this little bar. It's like really the box is this big, but it has like a transparency thing right here to make it look cleaner, but it really makes it clunky. See that? And it doesn't auto resize back. Just weird. Just super weird. And there's a simple way to do it. Right click a code window and choose 2 to 4 columns, then drag another window. Right click a code window. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. There you go, Werewolf. See, I knew it was something simple. 2 columns. Thank you very much. And we put this in there. That's what I was talking about. And the reason why I kind of need this, you can see, I'm going to be making sure that I'm loading everything that I'm saving, and in the same order for simplicity. So I got X, Y. Let's put image alpha. Did I put alpha twice? No, alpha once. So here I'm going to be saying image alpha equals underscore map. And we're using the accessor. And it's just the same name. Same name, image. I made everything the same name for simplicity too. Like that. Using map as like an array, accessing this inside the map data structure array thing. Thank you, Werewolf, by the way. Appreciate that. That's what I was doing too. I was like, but it kept talking about something else. It was a research fail, but I was doing the same thing. Close that up. New book bundle. I'll check that out. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll just copy here, like I did last time, and paste my way and replace to make it simple, less moving the mouse. Let me get my bearings. We're at alpha, and then blend is all the way at the bottom. So in between here, we're going to be putting in image xscale. very case sensitive, cap sensitive. Oh, we're done. I already got blend. Oh, and I typed index twice. That's fine. Not party system, part system. I keep typing party when I type party. I can't help it. My fingers just do it. Do it. Hey, Blue Dragon, how are you doing? Well, we're done with the particle system. Let's go into the menu. Ooh, coding. Sadly, I don't know a thing about it. Luckily, I got RPG Maker in V. Coding in MV is harder than in GML. But luckily, you don't really have to code in MV. Werewolf, I make MC maps. Me, big boy. Cool Sora asks, is there going to be an accessory that drops double the gold? Why not? I haven't even made the drop item, like, all I've made is the experience reward for enemies right now. I feel like I've got so much done on this game, and I've only been working on it for like a week. Kind of obsessively working on it, though. It's been a lot of fun. So much learning, too. Oops. Where am I at? MP, max MP. Oh, max AP now. Okay. do, do. Gosh, fingers are not keeping up with what I'm telling them to do. This is probably the longest variable name in the whole project. Player reduced lightning damage taken. 5 words. Come on, I can spell knockback. Wait, I missed one. Goes to longsword next. There we go, done with menu. Let's move on to the object data. We're almost done with this. Oh my god. Took long enough. It's probably going to crash and not work, but we're going to try our best. We have to have a save function, so we're going to eventually figure it out. That's it for the data. Let's add the player. Blue Dragon says, I'm trying to keep my project as organized as possible and do things in a fashion to avoid headaches down the road. Which should come next? My game art or events and coding? Well, I mean, it's up to you, Blue Dragon. Game art will kind of help you figure out how to code some things. For example, if I'm making my user interface, I can change the code so that it looks as good as it's going to look with the art that I have. And if you do the coding first and then you put in the art, well, what if you want to change the size of something? You also have to change your coding. So probably make the art assets first and then code them into the game. And if you're not going to do it that way, then make what we call programmer art, and you get the same resolution. Like, so if you're going to make, your character's going to be like, say, 48 by 48, you'll make a 48 by 48 box and then code around that. Set up your events. Set up your events and your coding after you have at least programmer art. So you make your programmer art and then you code an event, or use like placeholders, or you just make these sprites first and then you don't have to do the swap them out part. It's really up to you though. It doesn't really matter too much. I would say use good naming conventions when you're like naming things, so that when you're looking through a list in the database or something or in a folder, like you can find it quickly. No problem, Skepsis. You've been rocking this project? Thank you, Skepsis. Driftwood rocks at everything when it comes to gaming? Ah, I have my failures. Very kind of you, very kind of you. Both of you, Blue Dragon, Skepsis. Love you guys. And gals. Tease Jams. Hey, baby. Thank my lovely wife for watching our daughter while I'm able to do this. I love the opportunity I have to stream. I feel like this is such a cool job to have. It doesn't pay that great, but it's fun. It's a creative outlet, really. It's a nice little hobby / job. How are you going to test the save system? Look at the JSON it creates, or have some stuff printed on screen? I'm going to do. I'm going to save and load the game. I'm going to play the game and kill like 3 creatures, take some damage, save it right then and there, and then close the program, open it, and press L and load and see if it remembers everything or if it crashes or what happens. Also, I'm going to spit out to the output down here using a debug message saying game saved, game loaded. Or I'm going to read error messages and try to decipher what that means. But I've got 19 minutes. I can do it. Let me finish this up. I want to be able to at least have something to show for it at the end. So I do want to end at 4 today. Let's see. Base speed. Home speed. think it's the last one. Let's see. Enemy hit delay. This last object, I mean. Okay, we might be able to test it. Enemy was hit. There it is. I mean, I'm going to have to add more to it every time I add a new variable to the game. Add more stuff. Okay, let's Control S. Let me go to the title screen. Hold on, let's make this object. I'm gonna implement it differently so that it doesn't work this way, but what I'm gonna do is put this as a persistent object and put it on the title screen, and that way it will load with, it'll be accessible from there. Anyway, let's play and see if it crashes. Okay, so it does. On the press L, it says sprite height is read only. You can't write to, I can't say sprite height equals this because it's read only. So a lot of these are going to say that then, huh? Yep, a lot of these are, but that's okay. I'll just comment them out. Sprite offset, sprite offset. Speed, I think, will also be one. Let's go to the top and comment those out. Sprite height, sprite width, offset, offset, maybe speed. Let's see what happens. It was just those. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, wait, what happened though? Huh? Oh, wait. I pressed S because I wanted to press down. And when I try to save, it says that variable O dissipate part system 1 was not set. Okay, dissipate, we're looking at line 33. Part system 1. Obviously I've made some errors in this, and maybe I've set it up incorrectly at some point. Oh, wait a minute. I'm saying for every object, reference all these variables. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong when I'm saving. My understanding was that they would only be read if they're there. But what it's trying to do is it's trying to write this variable into the object, or for every object, basically. But it's only present in one object. So on this first time, it's like, hey, this variable doesn't exist on these things. So it's currently not working. Hello, just joining in. Your character looks like the dude from Crystallis from the NES. Yeah, I did it. I created it with the inspiration from the SNES, from the NES Crystallis game. I had it up, and I was looking at the sprite, and I drew it with that. Inspired by that. So I can't use S for this. Let me change this to something over here. Let's make it Z or something. No, let's make it C. For S. Actually, let's make add a new event and make a step. If keyboard check pressed, keyboard check, we'll do VK insert, and if keyboard check pressed, forward S. Now I can use S to do all of this. I just take all of this code. And I put it in a step. So the moment that I press insert and hold down insert and press S, it'll do it instead of just whenever I press S. That means I can delete this event. Yeah, so it works. Well, I mean, that switching it out of S works, but it's trying to say there's no part system in save load, so it can't I wonder if I put all those variables in a create of save load. No, I don't have to do that. How do I specify variable object, object get name, object index? So what I really need to do is, it's good that I have all this typed out, because I didn't mean to middle click that, but that's fine. what I can do is like cut and paste where they need to be. Like obviously I need to save all this data, but I don't need to save it for every object. So I have to do something up here that tells the game inside this object save this data, inside this object save this data, because every object doesn't need to save all this data, and that's what it's telling it to do. It's trying to say save all of this data for every single object, but it's going to crash because it's going to say, well, inside of every other object except for one, you can't find this, and in every other object besides one, you can't find this. So there's like 100 errors that would crash the game right now. But what I should do is, what I need to do somehow, figure out to change this code a little bit. Oh, I get it. So what I'm doing right here is I'm saying with everything that is a child object of this object, save me. I can't do it like that. I have to section this out and have multiple widths. So I'll say, with this object, do this. With this object, do this. With this object, do that. And I think I know how to do it now. So what I'll do is get rid of the parent object save me, because they'll all be different. And I won't use one parent object for all my objects. I'll save the data for each object individually. Maybe, Skepsis says, maybe in each object they create their own save. Oh, Galactic God, you haven't seen this yet? Oh, cool, dude. Let me just play the game. I have to end the stream in a few minutes. So I'll just play without worrying about the save load. I worked a lot on this sprite. Now, obviously, it's not as good as the one in Crystallis. It's a little jank at some points, especially when he gets kind of small right here. But like I did a pretty good job. And in fact, I didn't want to copy it exactly, because like if I wanted the same thing, you could find it on the internet and rip it. Instead, I created it live and throughout the day off camera too, but mostly 2 hours straight of it working on it on a live stream, doing it pixel by pixel. And I made 16 images, and then, so you have, no, I made, 16. I thought I was going to get away with 12, but I just duplicated right to the left. So I've got 2 images facing down, 2 images up, 2 images right, 2 images left. So it looks cool. I like how they made it look animated with only 2 images. And I was like, I could maybe do that. It took a long time. I have a lot more respect for sprite artists now after like spending all day trying to make it. Also, the collision box, what I had to do was make it extend, so I put a little graphic at the end so the player doesn't get hit as easy. This game was going to be heavily inspired by Crystallis, one of my favorite NES games. So I thought only fitting to have a sprite like Crystallis. The biggest thing that I put into it, I tried to load, right. So that will also, I press L and it'll try to load. What I'll do here is, this will be for saving, and then underneath all of the saving, loading. Save/load. And right here I'll go saving. Save load to JSON. I can get rid of this. So what I'll do is take all of this code that's in my load, copy it out, and put it right here. Obviously I have to encapsulate this. Loading. Yeah, so once again, when I'm loading, I won't just load with one parent object. I'll have to say, save this data from this object, with this object, save this data. I got it. I can do this now. Okay. I know how to do it. Save and load. It's just going to take some copy pasting and some more coding. I don't have time for it today, but I'm going to work on it today and show you the progress tomorrow. Essentially, it's going to be the same thing, but it won't all be in this one object. It'll be with one object, and it'll have like whatever's in that object, and then that'll be the end of that. Obviously, I'll have to include this code as maybe I create multiple DS maps, or can I use the same DS map? I don't know. I'll figure it out though. For the wrapper, I think I can just call wrapper 2 with a new one and delete all of those. But then I could just do one and then overwrite it and check the other, then overwrite it and check the other. But I'll probably create their own individual wrappers for each object. But anyway, and then I don't know actually. I'll figure it out though. Okay, for the loading, let me also make it so that it doesn't just try to do this immediately. I'll say if keyboard check VK insert and then if keyboard check pressed, right? No, keyboard check, and then keyboard check pressed. I'm rushing now because I have to go. Thank you guys so much for coming to the live stream. Checked, pressed. I don't want to forget what I'm actually doing before I walk away. Keyboard check pressed, key. Last thing, I'm just going to put this in here and get rid of it so when I press L it doesn't just crash. Keyboard check pressed. What do I want for load? I can't use L because I'm already... We'll use G. Or G. I'm going to change this anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But for now, I want it in this spot. Let's cut that out, put this nice and neat right here. There's definitely going to be some spacing issues here. So everything's going to have to be tabbed. I'm going to clean it up. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the live stream. Maybe it'll run without actually crashing, even though it's not like lined up correctly. It's not Python or anything, so it shouldn't crash. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what I do here on this channel, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/driftwoodgaming. I'd love to have your support. If you want to come hang out, I have a Discord. Link is in the description, and you can join the Discord for free. And there's hundreds of creative people there, and I'd love to see you on it. Links in the description there. If you want to play any of my past games that I've created, I also have a link to itch in the description, and you can play. I have 3 games on my itch page right now that I've put out and I feel is good enough for people to download and play. And yeah, I'd love for you to play the games and rate them and tell me what you think. Any questions, message me on Discord. Like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want more content like this. Love you guys very much. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I live stream 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in, Skepsis D. Galactic God, appreciate it. Blue Dragon, always a pleasure. Werewolf CZ, thank you so much for the help, my friend. Tease Jams, thank you so much, baby. Cool Source 7, thank you. Peter Apple, thank you for tuning in. Hime's Kitten, thanks for saying hi. Cool Sora, Skepsis D, everybody else, thank you so much. See you guys, bye-bye. Have a good one. Come to the Discord.